The sun hung low over the land of Egypt, casting a warm golden hue across the vast Nile River. Its waters, eternal and life-giving, reflected the rays of Ra, the sun god. Along the banks of the river, stretching from the northern delta to the southern mountains, the ancient civilization flourished. It was in this land of awe-inspiring monuments, grand temples, and shifting sands that a boy was born destined to change the course of history. Ramses II, known as Ramses the Great, would rise to become one of Egypt's most revered pharaohs, a ruler whose military conquests and architectural marvels would leave a legacy that still echoes to the corridors of time. Ramses was born in 1303 BC during the reign of his father, Seti I. From an early age, it was clear that he was no ordinary prince. His father, the powerful Seti I, had ambitious plans for Egypt and saw in his son potential to carry forward the dynasty's dreams of power and glory. Ramses was not just the heir to the throne, but also a student of the ancient arts of war, diplomacy, and governance. His training was rigorous and relentless. He learned to wield a sword with the skill of a seasoned warrior and to lead armies into battle with the precision of a master strategist. From his earliest years, Ramses understood the heavy responsibility of being the ruler of the most powerful nation in the ancient world. As a young man, Ramses accompanied his father on military campaigns. One of the first battles that would shape his future was a campaign against the Libyans. Under Seti's leadership, Ramses was thrust into the heart of battle, witnessing firsthand the brutal realities of war. It was here that he honed his leadership skills, learning how to command troops, manage logistics, and maintain discipline in the heat of battle. Despite his youth, Ramses showed remarkable courage and tactical acumen. His warriors admired him not only for his intellect, but also for his fearlessness. Seti I was impressed by his son's maturity, even at such a young age, and began to prepare him for the monumental task that awaited, becoming Pharaoh of Egypt. After Seti I's death, Ramses ascended the throne in 1279 BCE, inheriting a powerful kingdom. But Ramses, with his keen understanding of Egypt's destiny, had grand ambitions far beyond merely ruling the land. He wanted to solidify Egypt's power, expand its borders, and most importantly, ensure that his name would endure for all eternity. To achieve this, Ramses realized that his reign needed to be marked by military success and monumental achievements in architecture, as well as diplomatic victories that would establish Egypt's dominance in the ancient world. Ramses' first great military challenge came against the Hittite Empire. The Hittites, a rising power in the ancient world, controlled vast territories to the north of Egypt, and their king, Muwatalli II, posed a serious threat to Egyptian interests. In 1274 BC, Ramses led his armies to the city of Kadesh, situated on the Orontes River in modern-day Syria. It was here that Ramses faced one of his most significant military engagements. His army, though large, was caught by surprise by a cunning Hittite ambush. The Hittites, well-prepared and strategic, outnumbered the Egyptians, and for a time, it seemed as though Ramses' reign might end before it even truly began. But Ramses was not a man to retreat in the face of danger. Instead, he took command of the situation with remarkable bravery. His famous chariot charge at Kadesh has gone down in history as one of the defining moments of his life. Ramses led his chariot into the heart of the enemy lines, rallying his soldiers with cries of defiance. His personal courage inspired the Egyptian troops, turning the tide to battle. Though the outcome was not a decisive victory, Ramses returned to Egypt with his reputation intact. He ensured that his version of the battle would be immortalized on temple walls, depicting him as a hero who fought valiantly to protect Egypt's honor. Despite the inconclusive result of the battle, Ramses used the conflict with the Hittites to his advantage. He crafted a peace treaty with the Hittites, the first known peace treaty in history, which secured Egypt's borders and established a diplomatic relationship that would last for generations. This treaty not only ended the threat of Hittite aggression, but also solidified Ramses' role as a ruler who could secure Egypt's future through both war and diplomacy. His reputation as a wise and powerful leader grew, and the pharaohs who followed him would continue to use his strategies as a model for balancing military might with diplomacy. However, Ramses was not content with merely maintaining Egypt's current borders. His ambition was to leave a permanent mark on the land itself. and he knew that the true measure of a ruler's greatness lay not only in his military victories, but also in the monuments he built. To this end, Ramses embarked on a massive building program, commissioned construction of temples, statues, and entire cities to reflect his power and divine status. One of his most impressive projects was the construction of the Abu Simbel temples, carved into the mountainside near the Nile. The Abu Simbel temples were a marvel of engineering. Each temple was carved directly into the rock, a feat that required the labor of thousands of workers and architects. The two temples, one dedicated to Ramses himself and the other to his beloved queen, Nefertari, were designed not only for religious purposes, but also as a statement of his divine right to rule. For colossal statues of Ramses, each over 65 feet tall, stood at the entrance of the temple, their faces gazing down over the Nile as if challenging the heavens themselves. Inside, the walls were covered with scenes of Ramses' military victories, battles won, and gods honored. Abu Simbel was a testament to the pharaoh's desire to create something eternal, a monument that would ensure his name would never be forgotten. But Ramses' building projects did not end with Abu Simbel. He also constructed grand temples in Thebes, Karnak, and Memphis, all designed to honor the gods and showcase his divine connection to them. The Great Temple of Ptah at Memphis and the RamesII, his mortuary temple, were massive undertakings that showcase his wealth, power, and architectural genius. His dedication to the gods was mirrored by his efforts to immortalize his own reign, as each of these structures told the story of his greatness. The legacy of these monuments would inspire future pharaohs and architects for centuries to come. As Ramses aged, his reign continued to prosper. He ruled for an extraordinary 66 years, a period during which Egypt reached its peak of power, wealth, and influence. Under his leadership, Egypt thrived in peace and prosperity. The kingdom flourished, trade routes expanded, and Egypt became a cultural hub of the ancient world. Ramses understood that a strong, united Egypt was the key to its continued dominance. To maintain this unity, he worked tirelessly to ensure that Egypt's temples, cities, and institutions were built on a foundation of order and reverence for the gods. But as with all things, time eventually caught up with the great pharaoh. Despite his unparalleled power and influence, Ramses could not escape the inevitability of old age. His body, once strong and commanding, began to show the signs of the many battles he had fought and the long years he had spent in the service of Egypt. His once vibrant appearance became weathered, his once mighty body weakened by the ravages of time. Yet even in his old age, Ramses' presence was undeniable. He continued to govern Egypt with wisdom and authority, always mindful of the future of the kingdom he had built. As Ramses neared the end of his reign, he knew that his time was limited. His body, though still strong, was beginning to fail him, and the time for his successors to rise was approaching. He ensured that his children, especially his sons, were well prepared to take on the mantle of leadership. His eldest son, Amun-Herkhotep, was groomed to be his successor, though it was ultimately Ramses' 13th son, Merneptah, who would inherit the throne. The transition of power was smooth, and Egypt entered a new era, one shaped by the legacy of the great Ramses II. When Ramses II finally passed away in 1213 BC, he was entombed in the Valley of the Kings, in a tomb that reflected his greatness. The treasures that accompanied him into the afterlife were legendary. Gold, statues, and intricate jewelry, all meant to ensure that the pharaoh would have everything he needed in the next world. Ramses' mummified body, carefully preserved for eternity, was placed in a sarcophagus, and his tomb was sealed. But the pharaoh's death did not mark the end of his legacy. For centuries after his death, Ramses II's name was revered throughout Egypt and beyond. His monuments, particularly the Abu Simbel temples, stood as eternal reminders of his power and vision. Even after the decline of the New Kingdom, people continued to visit his temples and pay homage to his achievements. The Egyptians believed that Ramses had been chosen by the gods to rule, and his divine image lived on in the temples he built and the inscriptions he left behind. In the 19th century, explorers rediscovered the grandeur of Ramses' monuments, bringing his story back to the modern world. Archaeologists uncovered the remains of his magnificent temples and deciphered the hieroglyphs that recounted his life and victories. The world marveled at the scale of his achievements, and Ramses became an icon of ancient power, his name synonymous with greatness and glory. Even today, his legacy lives on, as the temples of Abu Simbel and his other monuments continue to attract millions of visitors each year. The eternal flame of Ramses II's reign still burns brightly, as his story continues to inspire people around the world. His conquests, his architectural wonders, and his vision for Egypt ensured that his name would never fade into obscurity. Ramses the Great, the pharaoh who ruled for over 6 decades, remains an indelible figure in the history of the ancient world. His life serves as a testament to the power of ambition, leadership, and the enduring quest for immortality through the deeds of one's hands. And as the sun sets over the ancient sands of Egypt, casting long shadows across the pyramids and temples, the spirit of Ramses II stands tall, his name forever etched in the annals of history, a king whose legacy will live on for millennia.